I'm listening to my Spotify weekly. It's a good Monday habit, I feel like, to listen to what goes on in this Spotify weekly. It's kind of fun, kind of engaging, but not too engaging that you can't see. Yabber, jabber, jabber. Testing audio. There's a lot of apparently internet problems going on right now. The internet speed test on Google is experiencing some slowness, which is weird. Oh, look at that! There go all my kilobytes. Are we back? Did I F? Oh, I can't hear myself at all, bro. What the fuck? What if I disconnect from Wi-Fi? I'm dropping a ton of frames. I'm up to like 13% drop rate. It's pretty bad. Um. Okay, now the number is dropping to about 10%. This is why I stopped streaming the first time. Would love to see this go below 5%. Oh wait, it's climbing again. Maybe I'll just ignore it. Is that possible to ignore this? Okay. Well, that's great. How do I go to see stream manager? Um, Not edit stream info, but I want to see my stream health because it would be nice to know if my stream is going down on my phone. If I'm getting some lag, I see stats, boosts, donations, activity feed, which you can make really big compared to the chat. But I don't see a way to look at the health of the stream, which I was told I could do. Share stream, maybe? No. Hmm. Okay, then I think I'm just gonna go. I think this is fine. Because it's dropped down to about 6% dropped frame rates, but it looks like my internet is gonna have just some troubles today. It's just gonna be an old troubling day in the internet. It's delayed because I like hear myself talking to myself and I have to like check both. They should have like a way. I know that there's actually a Twitch health thing. Let me pull that up. Twitch inspector. Yeah. Inspector.twitch.tv. They should make this a mobile app. Because this is where it's at. Authorize. Did I already authorize this? Oh wow. Okay, yeah. So it says that there's already been 2 unstable events of 20 seconds, but it seems like we're stable right now. So whatever. I'm just gonna send it. Um so today's topic is the continuation of the Zettelkasten experience. Today we're going to be going over Thinking Fast and Slow, which is a psychology book by Daniel Kahneman, a very respected and famous psychologist from Israel. His work with Amos Tversky really changed a lot of the ways that modern, excuse me, psychology is kind of consumed. He changed a lot of people's minds about like the different modes of thought in humanity's kind of vocabulary isn't right. Corpus also isn't right, but he's kind of is influential and responsible for getting people on the same like kind of like he was doing testing probably around the time that Malcolm Gladwell's books came out. So this was right around the era where people were really into this idea of 10,000 hours, but we didn't really understand the distinction between deliberate practice and non-deliberate practice. And Thinking Fast and Slow is a long tome that's basically a list of examples of how the different systems in the brain work to create a thinking human. So we're just going to get started. Uh, People tend to assess the relative importance of issues by the ease with which they are retrieved from memory, and this is largely determined by the extent of coverage in the media. I think this has to do with like the primacy bias, which is like the bias in which people are more likely to remember things that have happened recently than things that happened in the past. This is also true for things like movies and such, where people will really remember the beginning of a movie and the end of the movie, like the bookends of a movie, but they won't really remember what happened in the middle. This is the essence of intuitive heuristics. When faced with a difficult question, we often answer an easier one instead without noticing the substitution. So, this makes me think about how hard it is to ask the right question. It's really difficult. I don't know if it's primacy bias or what is it called? I have to actually look it up. Close this. Primacy effect. People tend to assess the relative importance. Things we remember, we are more likely to rate as important. Marketers and YouTubers understand this by putting the hook within the first 10% of the content. This is a double whammy because if people will think that the first 10 seconds are more important, but then also remember it more, which feeds back into the importance, right? And it becomes this almost cycle where it's like, I remember this being important, so I remember it. And then I better remember the first thing. So then I think it's more important. And then because it's important, I remember it, yada, 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 yada. It's difficult to ask the right question since the hard questions are usually uncomfortable. I think about this a lot with like conversations about work, I guess. Usually, like conversations like not just about like kind of a person's career, but like how to sometimes bridge the gap between something that probably should be said but doesn't really feel comfortable to say, which I'm just yawning like crazy today. Um, I think is mainly fear of backfiring than it is fear of getting not in trouble, but like fear of hurting someone else. And I think that hurting someone else or yourself can kind of like come under the same purview as backfiring. So generally people will, and myself included, I think everybody will just kind of like try to answer an easier question or pose an easier question, softball, a political softball. You dispose of a limited budget of attention that you allocate to activities, and if you try to go beyond your budget, you will fail. This kind of ties into the deep work methodology. In Cal Newport's deep work, he talks a lot about the kind of number of hours that a person would need to deep work in a day and the importance of boredom. So I would say that I'm going to link actually to process the importance of boredom by Cal Newport. And then I will also talk about and I look for by to process here. That means that I'm teeing myself up to go find the quote later. Um, because sometimes it just takes a number of minutes just to find the right thing that I'm looking to do, but then it's just a simple matter of copy and pasting. So this is actually the thinking, and you can, the way that I think about this kind of workflow is that it's kind of like setting up a placeholder. So I'm putting a placeholder in place that by the time that I come back to this in the future, I'll be able to just kind of like hit a button and then just automatically have that quote be put in and know that it makes sense given the God damn it, given the context. So you dispose of a limited budget of attention, the importance of boredom, but then I also want to talk about the willpower, kind of like gas tank or like running out of willpower. And then I also want to talk about the maximum number of hour work, deep work hours. And then I also want to quote for um, how long it takes to get going. There's a funny tweet that I have in here somewhere where I can write down or search tragic. Hmm. Tragic irony of inflation. We made that yesterday. Maybe I didn't save it. If I search software engineer, will it come up? Oh, this is it. Heartbreaking. I found it. So the willpower gas tank, I think I have maybe boredom in here, at least from deep work. I see thinking fast and slow, mastery, 4-hour work week, psychology of money, indistractable, goodbye things. The island of knowledge and the shore of ignorance is actually pretty good. I can link that here in the group think. The flow state, getting interrupted. Interrupted. In my line of work, this is something that happens so commonly where you'll just be getting into the flow of coding. It'll be like your third hour. You'll finally settle into like a pretty good third hour. It'll be like 20 minutes in, you'll settle into a good thought process, and then someone will just be like, "Hey, can I get a moment of your time?" And you're just like, "Fuck, bro. Like you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me." Um but I do want to talk about boredom, the importance of boredom. So let's get rid of this and then copy this in. Let's do this boredom. Oh, I did or boredom. Let's see. The problem of groupthink and individual ignorance besets not just the ordinary voters. If you want to go deeply into subject, you need a lot of time. In particular, you need the privilege of wasting time. You need to experiment with unproductive tasks, explore dead ends, make space for doubt and boredom, and allow little seeds to slowly grow and blossom. Yes. Yes. It's easy among the turbulence of a rapidly evolving information age to default to dialectical grumbling. The curmudgeons among us are vaguely uneasy about the attention people pay to their phones and pine for the days of unhurried concentration, while the digital hipsters equate such nostalgia with Luddism and boredom and believe that increased connection is a foundation for a utopian future. I will go to my grave complaining about how useless most meetings are. I'm not even kidding. I think meetings are probably one of the worst inventions that have happened to knowledge work, right? Like the idea that people need to sit in meetings most of the day, it just becomes this idea of David Graeber's like bullshit work talks a lot about this. So for planning meeting, such meetings really deep dive into substantive content and feature a lot of small talk and posturing. Um, yeah, this is just based. Um, what's the bullshit jobs on the phenomenon of bullshit jobs? Once when contemplating, hell is a collection of individuals who spend their time. This is what I'm looking for. This actually could be a note on its own, right? Right, like wasted energy on meetings, and then linking it back to the this source note here. So what I can do is that I can, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe all of these are linked to it without actually being included in it. These are all like pretty big points. So control X that, control N, um, the limited budget of attention. Like this has a lot of arms that could be turned into their own thing. So let me grab this now actually. And then take this out, and then go to another note and call that the wasted energy of meetings. And this is kind of like a child note, which I saw that the app Lumen that I downloaded for Obsidian, you can use child notes, but it's like not, I don't know, it's not the style that I like to do Zettelkasten notes in. But what I can do, mm, again, I don't know if I want these in here because I kind of just did that in my new note here, this wasted energy of meetings. So do I need this still? The wasted for a planning meeting. Meetings rarely dive into substantive content. Um, that's actually kind of complicated because this is talking about a limited budget, which I want to link the wasted energy of meetings here. I don't like doing the aliases here because, like, again, this is like the idea of like I usually try to do it outside of the thing. So, um, for example, wasting energy on unnecessary meetings. Boredom is required for anyone who wants to get some level of serious work done. Another the Congressional Budget Office of Waste, akin to the willpower gas tank. Maybe I could just search willpower, see if I have anything on that while I'm on this roll. But I do want to link this to the limited budget of attention because then I can close these. Limited budget of attention. Control C. B. Nice. And nice. Okay. Willpower search. Tiny habits. Lack of willpower. Willpower reduced. How to get yourself to do things. What does it say? This is kind of related to the asking the easier question. I don't know if this is like, I think it's psychology and habits. Psychology and habits. And then this is also psychology. Broadly speaking, I think this has to do with like energy, but energy isn't really a good one, I think, for humans because like our energy levels go up and down throughout the day, but like they're not, I don't think there's like a field of study about energy, human energy. Okay, so you dispose of a limited budget of attention. Yeah, sure. And then we talked about boredom, who wants to get serious work done. We talked about the uh wasting meetings. The willpower gas tank isn't really in here. Oh, here we go. And then this is what's this note called? The limited button budget of attention. Limited butt pog. Willpower is a gas tank. The thing is, like, now that we're doing this two process, I realize that I have so many examples of all this stuff. Oh, I really want the just like deep work. Specifically, how many hours someone does deep work? Deep work hours. Okay. Yeah, I think this is good. Funnily enough, this is again breaking off into its own note and deep work hours. So let's search hours in here. I think this is in the same vein of thought of like the flow state getting interrupted to do small tasks that don't contribute to the overall thing that one's trying to work on. Um, the process of bolding is interesting because it's kind of like adding your own thoughts. If you've ever read like heard like emphasis mine, a lot of people will talk about like, I guess what I mean by emphasis mine is that it kind of highlights the reader's shape of the thought that they're seeing in front of them. It's kind of like what you're highlighting on the canvas. It's where you choose to zoom the camera, as it were. So this is good. Wait, the next hour. It's kind of nice. Like, it's weird because like getting rid of these from these books is like taking it from other books. Like, I feel bad because I'm gonna like be processing these books in the future, but then it's like less quotes to process when I get there, I guess, right? I don't know. But sometimes they don't always fully fit. But that's kind of, I think, kind of the point is that it's trying to build like a tapestry. Oh, really? I don't have any flow state in here, so I guess I will leave flow state. And then I'll just grab this over here. Do I need this maximum number of limited budget of attention? Boredom is required, or can willpower is a gasting? I like how that reads. And then this is actually its own note too. So let's pin this page so it doesn't just disappear on me. And then just grab all of this. And then usually when I like already have a title, I'll just kind of like put something there just so I can just kind of grab the original one that I wanted. And grab that, do that. It gets the to process. And also let's put the deep life tag in here because this is a deep life note. And then what else do we need to put in here? No, looks good to me. This song that I'm listening to kind of bangs though. Love it when that happens. Choose your hours or guard your deep work hours carefully. I like that. Guard your deep work hours carefully. Oh, this is the same note. This is that one I want. So again, get rid of this alias. I don't have any more to process in here, which is nice. Get rid of this now. And then I can link that here. The limited budget of attention from the Congressional Budget Office, which is definitely a jab at the CBO. I read somewhere recently that like it's like what 10 years in a row. There's some number of years in a row that Congress and the government has just been way over budget with like kind of what they're planning, which is bad because it either increases tax burden on the citizenry or it causes just more debt inflation within the economy, both of which are a really great outcome. Anyway, we're moving on. System 1 continuously generates suggestions for System 2, impressions, intuitions, intentions, and feelings. If endorsed by System 2, impressions and intuitions turn into beliefs, and impulses turn into voluntary actions. So this is kind of, I guess, the first highlight that I made about System 1 and System 2, where System 1 is kind of just like, here's an unconscious thing, like, you want to deal with this? And then System 2 eventually uh, turns it into beliefs, right? So I have a few thoughts on this. First one being anxieties and ruminations becoming compulsions. And then also, how do you spell ruminations? Ruminations? Is that there's no plural of rumination? Ruminations. Yeah. Okay, whatever. And then thinking from your values system. So for anxieties and ruminations becoming impulsions, consistent worrying thoughts chip away at the mind's defenses and eventually seem less like suggestions and more like um, causal outcomes. This causes the person to defensively react and create mechanisms to build a fence around the negative thoughts, causing release in rituals. And I want to link the rituals thing that I wrote to process. To process to link to link rituals and why we cope. And then for thinking for your value system, so are values intrinsic or are values built over time? I think both arguments, both sides make partial sense. Values are heavily based in millennia old traditions, but all traditions had to start somewhere. Millennia. I don't want to say this. Maybe I'll just say values are some values. Yeah, so certain values are based on other values are highly individual and are created by a person to fulfill some sort of need. We see this a lot in anime main characters. Where their stubbornness propels them toward some kind of goal. And each foe, but like each event in their life confirms their overall narrative. For example, this is why Gone and HXH. Dude, this song on fucking Spotify has 1.5 minutes of silence. What is this? Dumb. Ends up losing his mind when he can't align the world to his perspective. Of it. And then I'm gonna put on a to process Gone video about strength, his father breaking down. System 1 continuously generates I think I might actually do my first exclamation point linking in here. I'll show what that means in a second. So like if I go here and I grab the foundation of values and then control exit like we're used to doing it here, and then let's just call it F, and then grab this foundation of values header. There's probably a way to do this because Auto Note Mover does it, but that doesn't take that long, and I'd probably screw something else up. Psychology. And then back here, well, we can close deep work, and we can also close the limited budget of attention. And then I'm just gonna do the foundation of values here, and that will automatically put it in there. Actually, I don't know if that's gonna work on the publish. I'm interested to see how this works out. So, because like here you can see it, right? Like you can see the file right in front of you, but I'm wondering if that actually works in, anyway. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. It's gonna call this A, whatever, doesn't matter. Control X this guy, do that, and then let's do this, and then let's say this. Oh, this actually goes in that note too. And then I'm gonna remove this, and then do that exclamation point here too. And then I'm gonna grab this note, go all the way up here, and then let's say system 1, the alchemy of system 1 to system 2. The alchemy of system 1 controlling system too. And this actually reminds me of like the elephant in The Righteous Mind. I love this quote about kind of like how we all basically have a a firm in our brain, like a PR firm. And this PR firm's like job is just to be like, oh, like no, we knew what we were doing. Like it kind of reminds me of just like fucking Trump's uh public relations staff like trading out every 3 months because he just kept doing random shit in office to link to process Trump's many PR people. um, and this is going to be psychology. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to link it this guy. And I'm just going to control C that. And then I'm just going to get rid of Lore Moveson, replace it with that. Nice. So we're doing pretty good. We've already been live for 47 minutes and we're about 3 quotes in. But there was a lot of interesting subcontext in these thoughts. So hopefully some of these will go quicker. Okay. The best we can do is a compromise. Learn to recognize situation in which mistakes are likely and try harder to avoid significant mistakes when the stakes are high. The premise of this book is that it's easier to recognize other people's mistakes than our own. Yeah, 100%. And I think that a lot of this again has to do with that self loop of justification that we do for our own thoughts. For example, this stream right now, I'm live. I've been live for 48 minutes to 0 people, right? And some bots. What's up, bots? And I think that, it's really easy to justify spending time doing something and be like, oh, like, why did I bother recording when I could have just done this without going live or whatever? I'm thinking of this as kind of like, and maybe I'm just kind of like not tooting my own horn, but kind of like over analyzing. But to me, this stream is now a extension of the core, which is the Zetteling process, because that's something that I probably would have been doing anyway. Like I spend a lot of the day these past couple months just like taking and processing notes in my vault and turning them into more independent thoughts. So being able to have these videos for free in addition uh, seems like a really good idea for the future, even if it doesn't really expand the way that I think it might. Which is weird because now I'm just like talking about how I think I was right, but I've been wrong before too. And I think that like there's a lot of mistakes that I've made in relation to business in terms of like my own business with stenography. I think there's also a lot of mistakes that I've made as a content creator in terms of like I probably could have had an easier go of it if I went the more entertainment route, but I'm stubborn as fuck and I really want I really like this kind of like slow, deliberate kind of process of reading and writing. And I don't know if anyone's ever going to really care or give a shit. And if you're seeing this in the future, hello. Um, but it's important to me. And maybe that's enough, even if I'm quote unquote wrong. I guess, like, is it wrong if the idea is like I could be using my time for something that has a higher return on investment, then it would be wrong. But I don't know what my return on investment is going to be. So where did I go with that? I don't even think that had a real point other than just kind of saying like, this is a interesting concept. Anyway, he had noticed that the pupils are sensitive indicators of mental effort. They dilate substantially when people multiply two-digit numbers, and they dilate more if the problems are hard than if they are easy. I won't try to solve this while driving. This is a pupil dilating task. It requires mental effort. Even in the absence of time pressure, maintaining a coherent train of thought requires discipline. Many people are overconfident, prone to place too much faith in their intuitions. True. David Hume reduced the principles of association to three: resemblance, contiguity in time and place, and causality, which is kind of like, um, can you associate something with another thing, I guess? Act calm and kind regardless of how you feel is very good advice. You are likely to be rewarded by actually feeling calm and kind. True. The general theme of these findings is that money primes individualism, a reluctance to be involved with others, to depend on others. Here's what I think I'm gonna do actually. I'm gonna bold things, so say that I think are interesting, and then I'm gonna go back on a second take. Maybe that'll cost them. That'll be the move. Because I would be bolding them anyway. Um, Money primes individualism, a reluctance to be involved with others. Interesting. You do not believe these results apply to you because they correspond nothing to your subjective experience, but your subjective experience is largely of the story. Priming phenomenon rise in conscious one, and you have no access to them. Interesting. If you use color, you are more likely to be believed if your text is printed in bright blue or red than in middling shades of green, yellow, or pale blue. Psychology dub. Therefore, they form the basis for social organization and cohesion, the basic sources of psychological and social stability. It was beyond imagining that bad font influences judgments of truth and improves cognitive performance, or that an emotional response to the cognitive ease of a triad of words mediates impressions of coherence. I don't even know what that means. Statistical thinking derives conclusions about individual cases from properties of categories and ensembles. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like the forest for the trees in really hard words, where it's like deriving conclusion about trees from properties of the forest, right? On the other hand, the errors that individuals make are independent of the errors made by others. And in the absence of systemic bias, they average to zero. That's interesting. I don't know what I feel about that. It's saying that errors of other individuals tend to zero. What does that mean? Like, if somebody makes a good decision and somebody makes a mistake, the good decision and the mistake cancel each other out. And like, what time frame are you looking at? I don't know. I have open thoughts about that. WYSIATI, which is says what you see is all there is. System one is radically insensitive to both the quality and quantity of information that gives rise to impressions of intuitions. Interesting. I think it's basically saying like if you see something, then the quality and quantity of it is dealt in the system two, where you have to like actually interpret what you've seen. Constantly evaluated as good or bad, escape or approach. Good mood and cognitive ease are the human equivalents of safety and familiarity. Yeah, that's interesting. I agree with that. In the context of attitudes, System 2 is more of an apologist for the emotion of System 1 than a creator. Uh, Yeah, this one we can just go ahead and move into the other note that we just took about the. Oh, you know what? I want to just publish this and just see what it looks like. Even though my internet's freaking out right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I can wait. Mm. Rural samples are smaller than other samples. Oh, extreme outcomes are more likely to be found in sparsely populated countries. I wonder why that is. Why do the numbers change when the number, like, why does the percentages of extreme things happen when the numbers get smaller? Or they're just more likely to be found, like, you're just more likely to see them because there's, like, less. Interesting. Randomness appears as regularity or a tendency to cluster. Yeah. We are far too willing to reject the belief that much of what we see in life is random. To reject the belief that what we see in life is random. Like, I guess, like, it's like stochastic random. Like, this isn't like fully random, but like the people will, like, it's random that rivers go down a certain area, but it's not random that people show up at the banks of rivers to do commerce. But then it's not even random that the river was there because the topology of the earth forced the water down a certain path. But then that's only not random because meteors have hit the earth and the earth grew in a certain way that was kind of random. But even then, that wasn't random because the lava. You know what I mean? You can kind of just keep going. But I like the idea of kind of like stochastic randomness powering this, where it's like, oh, stochastically speaking, there was any number of events that could have happened, and just like the Plinko board of events caused the current thing that you see. Plans are best case scenarios. Let's avoid anchoring on plans when we forecast actual outcomes. Thinking about ways the plan could go wrong is one way to do it. Yeah, I think a plan isn't, I think I have a note on this actually to link to process the silliness planning. As long ago as Egypt, societies have tracked the high watermark of rivers that periodically flood and have always prepared accordingly, apparently assuming that floods will not rise higher than the existing watermark. uh, this is like knowledge and yeah, so like it's like silly to prepare for what you already know to expect. Like another thing is like a black swan events. The inability to be guided by a healthy fear of bad consequences is a disastrous flaw. It's entirely acceptable for judgments of similarity to be unaffected by base rates, and then also by the possibility that the description was inaccurate. But anyone who ignores base rates and the quality of evidence in probability assessments will certainly make mistakes. Think in terms of Venn diagrams. The set of feminist bank tellers is wholly included in the set of bank tellers, as every feminist bank teller is a bank teller. Therefore, the probability as that Linda is a feminist bank teller must dot dot dot. I don't know what that means. It's like, I guess it's trying to say must be less than the probability that Linda is a bank. Wait, yeah, that Linda is a bank teller or Linda is a feminist, because that's like the set of the two, right? So it's like you would have a greater chance anyway. We had pitted logic against representativeness, and the representativeness had won. The most coherent stories are not the most probable, but they are plausible, and notions of coherence, plausibility, and probability are easily confused by the unwary. So yeah, plausible doesn't necessarily mean probable, right? And there's like a difference there where it's like, oh, it's plausible that this person would do this, but it's not probable that they'll do it. Adding detail to scenarios makes them more persuasive, but less likely to come true. We did it. Okay, let's go back up to the top. Do I want to add anything to this? It's easy to recognize other people's mistakes than our own. Um, maybe that like the self loop. Well, I already kind of talked about this. I don't know if I want to make like a Zettelkasten about it though. Um, maybe like do I want to talk about the othering effect of kind of like nah, nah, I'll put a bookmark in it. Not gonna do that one either. That one's good, but I also don't want to really do it. Money primes individualism is kind of interesting. I think I want to see if I have anything on individualism in my vault. Ehrenberg's book allows us to connect some more big dots. The liberation of the individual from various identities, obligations, and allegiances of the 60s gave a new flavor of economic individualism. The economics of the right became infused with the moral fervor of the youthful left in a grand synthesis of liberation that gave us the figure of the bohemian entrepreneur as the exemplary human type. It's like Steve Jobs. So like Steve Jobs is the Steve Jobs entrepreneur. The birth of the Steve Jobs entrepreneur. No shoes. I need the check mark. How do I get edit emoji? No shoes. Ratty ass hoodie. $5 billion valuation. Anyway, I guess I would be like individualist. What's here? Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. So, yeah, I can link the birth of the Steve Jobs entrepreneur. Whether you are a hippie with a killer business sense, or you are a libertarian crypto maxi, money talks. Do 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 do. Oh wow, it's kind of long. I'm gonna read it though. Crypto didn't become the most important tech trend right now because it's an individualistic, libertarian pyramid scheme that combines spectacle hype with mass YOLO slash FOMO. It's because the U.S. economy became an individualistic, libertarian pyramid scheme that combines spectacle hype with mass YOLO FOMO. The poisonous winner take all mentality is more poetically expressed by Stephen Deal. The shortcomings of the Web3 narrative are easy to construct from a technology perspective, but to play the devil's advocate, what does it succeed at? It's very possible that it's a paradigm shift in financial deregulation and will usher in a new anarcho casino capitalism world where every 14-year-old kid can launch a fly-by-night Ponzi scheme and pump it on the social media from the comfort and the anonymity of their parents' basement. Just like Twitch chat. A hustler's paradise with a 24/7 non-casino. Hold on, let's see this. Bold. A hustler's paradise built on 24/7 nonstop casino, built on Cambrian explosions of slot machines, each with a machine growing out of a different facet of human culture, whose likeness has been co opted to seduce you into gambling more. It's the apotheosis of capitalism, where the market now provides a financial token game for every meme, every celebrity, every political movement, and every bit of art and culture, with each tribe competing in each other in a war against all of the hyper financialization of human existence. Is that the world we want to live in? That's hard, dude. That goes hard, hard. Fucking my hand hard. Um, the root of all evil. I'm not like against money. I also am. I'm actually quite a staunch capitalist. I like the idea that people can start businesses and stuff like that. I don't really like rampant speculation. And I think that a business actually, weirdly enough, if you are a good capitalist, you should hate the idea of bad businesses that um, fraudulently take from people and create missives in profit margins, right? Because like when you see stuff like this, where everything is just a narco casino capitalism world where every 14-year-old can launch a Ponzi scheme, it really kind of kills the idea for having a good business and actually kind of lends trends towards monopoly because eventually the big companies will be the only ones that people take seriously because the ones that small people are starting or individuals are starting are anarcho casino capitalism ponzi schemes. So that's kind of like why I think that certain businesses are ruining capitalism's good name and why money can become evil. Your subjective experience. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to put this in the note that we just had above here. I think, didn't I? Your subjective experience. Yeah. What happens in the unconscious? What happens in the? Is it the id? The id that I'm thinking of. Id. Instinctive. Okay, yeah. What happens in the id? Stays in the id. That's pretty funny. Maybe like is there a Freud meme? Freud meme. You motherfucker. Um Boop, 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 Poop, 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 poop. MFW Freud. Freud? I think it's Freud or Freud. Freud. Reveal and finder. Yeah. Yeah. Compress that image. Image compressed. What happens in the id? Stays in the id. We already skipped that. We already skipped that, and we don't actually. We already have it linked down here, so we don't need it again. Anything else? Good mood and cognitive ease are the human equivalents of assessments of safety and familiarity. This one kind of ties into the one above, where being calm and kind actually is a benefit. Not that I really kind of like, maybe like the scientific value of being in a good mood, or the science of being calm. Psychology. I have an interesting bot that I might be building soon that, because I've been seeing a lot of stuff that's like in the market recently about like embeddings, and I think people are doing good stuff, but especially as I like kind of like see my graph, I think that the idea isn't to find just the one note, it's to find all the similar things that you're looking for, which means that you would want like a really, really high quality AI tagging system that automatically does suggested tags, but then you would also want it to um, pull the suggested tags as like information streams in and then change the lead tag and then use that lead tag to resort the information in real time. So I don't know when or if I'm going to get around to this, but I thought of it in the shower this morning. I'm like, that's actually, I think, a really good idea. Uh, get out of here. Get out of here, eh? Get out of here. Oh no. The science of being calm. Yes. Do I have any plan? Plans. Plans. Plan. Uh. Oh. Interesting. No, 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 none of that explanation shit. I want plan. Yes. TikTok does have an awful creator plan. Sydney Sweeney's best case plan came to pass. Unless you are Sydney Sweeney. What if I just right click? I want to like copy. Anyway, it's kind of annoying. Um, think these are actually in the same note. It's silly to prepare for what you already know to expect. And you can't prepare for what you can't expect. I think, again, in the beginning of Infinity, I don't know how to put like the thing that I'm describing the quote before or after the quote. It changes from time to time, from Tim to Tim. I like plans or best case scenarios as a title. Plans are best case scenarios. This is going to be like risk management, but like risk management isn't never something I'm going to come back to, but like economics, death. Copy that, copy, paste that, close these two. I'm moving real fast. Well, not really, because it's an hour 20. So now I can publish these and then go to bed probably. Let's look at the attachment. We got the MFW Freud. Very funny. And all of these notes. And then we're going to hit publish. And those are all going to the server. Just like that. All right. Well, I guess that's it for me today. I am still having fun with this. And I'm going to continue to do it until it stops being fun or fruitful. So, yes. Thanks for watching if you're watching this in the future. And have a good day.